While my husband was away on a business trip, my daughter and I were out having dinner. Then, suddenly, the lights dimmed and music started playing. Looking around, there were couples that seemed to be together. In the next moment, a man's voice rang out loud and clear. "Will you marry me?" "Yes." "Oh." As applause erupted around us, my daughter and I locked eyes, our mouths hanging open in shock. That's right. It seemed just like my husband's voice. My daughter called over to a familiar server who happened to be pausing by. "Excuse me, is this a surprise for someone?" "Yes, it's for a man who lost his former wife. He's been through a lot, so they wanted to celebrate big time." My daughter's eyebrows knitted together. "Let's go check it out." She rose quietly from her seat and approached the couple, only to find her mouth falling open again. There he was. Indeed, it was my husband. The next moment, I said loudly, "Hello, the supposedly deceased former wife here and her daughter, right, you guys?" Following this, the outrageous blunder my husband made in his predicament left us struggling to contain our laughter as we plunged him into an even deeper hole. My name is Molly Harris. I'm a 44-year-old homemaker. I married my same-aged husband, Alan, when I was 25 and left my job. 2 years later, we had our daughter, Betty. She turns 17 this month. It's a crucial time for her, right before her college entrance exams. I've been planning a birthday celebration for her. Little did I expect the day to end quite like this. It's your birthday, and since it falls on a Sunday, it's your birthday, and since it falls on a Sunday, why don't we take a break from studying and go out to eat? You also gotta be on your summer mock exams. On the way home in the car, after tutoring, I made that suggestion. Yay! It'd be like a celebration for the end of summer courses too. That's the spirit, and we can report your mock exam results to Dad on that day. Yes, my daughter was aiming for the same university as her father, but she hadn't been able to share the great news of her first B grade with him yet. Since the start of the year, chances for my increasingly busy husband and my daughter, buried in her studies, to see each other had sharply decreased. Your dad's gonna be so happy. For sure. I hope so. Oh, by the way, is it okay if we go to a place I like? My tutor from the cram school works there part-time. I've been talking about wanting to go for a while. Plus, I heard they have a special cake service just for birthdays. Well, sounds great. Let's do it. I'm so excited. Later that night, after my daughter had gone to bed, my husband came home. The end of this month. On Sunday, it's Betty's birthday, right? How about we go out for a meal? Then my husband responded, "End of this month." So what date is that? I was exasperated. Come on, it's your daughter's birthday. He awkwardly opened his smartphone. Yay. I know, just spaced out there for a moment. And then he looked at his phone and muttered a soft what? Is there something on the calendar? There's no work on Sunday, right? Just before I knew it, I found myself asking, oh no. That day, I'm on a business trip. On a Sunday, yeah. It's a bit of a distance, so I have to head out early. That's why I can't make it. That's terrible. Isn't there anything you can do? When it pressed him, my husband raised his voice. It's work, so it's impossible. If you're really saying it's a must, then you reschedule. First off, she's a student preparing for college entrance exams. If you have time to fuss about this, she should be studying. Otherwise, she won't make it to the same level I did. That is, I nearly blurted out our daughter's recent mock test scores. No good. She wants to tell him about it herself. And in that moment of silence, my husband had left the living room. When did it start? He's always prioritizing work over everything else. It's a business trip on a Sunday. That's never happened before. Does the passion for family really fade over the course of a marriage? Still, our daughter is at a crucial time right now. Couldn't he engage a little more with his family? But changing the dinner plans isn't possible. Like our daughter said, the birthday cake service is only available on the actual birthday. We'll have to find another time to spend together, just the three of us. That's what I thought. When I mentioned this to our daughter the next day, she seemed a bit disappointed, but she agreed to my suggestion that the three of us, including her father, should have a meal together another time. But that day never came. Our family was going to face an unexpected ending on this dining out day. Mom might. I was thinking of booking the restaurant you mentioned before, but which cake should we choose? There's the fruit tart, fondant, chocolate, cheesecake, and even a mini wedding cake for a surprise proposal. It's a tough choice, but you love cheesecake, right? A few days later, my daughter, all excited, showed me the website of the restaurant where her tutor works part-time. What are you talking about? And forget about me? It's your big day. You pick what you want to eat. If I had to make one suggestion, no wedding cake, please. That's for sure. That's a cake with no ties to me. Then maybe the fruit tart. That sounds great. And all of these cakes look really fantastic, as does the rest of the menu. Everything looks so delicious. Fine. I'll take a bunch of pictures and show off to Dad. I agreed with my daughter's words. He should be really here with us. If he regrets it later, too bad. On the day, we got a little dressed up and left the house. Wow, nice atmosphere. My daughter snapped a picture of the restaurant's front as we opened the door. Welcome. Daddy and Mom. Mr. Nelson, hello? Hello there. Right this way, please. Thank you. I was surprised. I'd assumed the teacher was a woman. Who knew it would be such a handsome young man? No wonder my daughter was so dressed up. Once we were seated, we enjoyed eating to our heart's content and had a leisurely conversation for the first time in a while. Hey, is that tutor attending Betty's Dream University? Nope. Mr. Nelson is so smart, so I guess once I graduate from the tutoring center, I might not see him again. That's too bad. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure I came here at least once before graduating. I thought if I did, it would be easier to drop by after graduation. You're quite the strategist, aren't you? As we were having such girly talk, we quickly became full. Wait to time for cake? Maybe. Sounds good. As we ordered dessert, that guy appeared with a beautiful fruit tart. Happy birthday. Betty? Thank you. Mr. Nelson. I wrote the message on the chocolate plate myself. With that, he left as quickly as he had arrived. This is the best present ever. Let's take a picture. The moment her daughter clicked the phone, the lights dimmed and music began to play. What's happening? Isn't this one of those birthday surprises? Oh, I see. How lovely. I know, right? It gets us excited too, wondering which table it is. As we looked around curiously, a waiter started walking toward a distant seat with a mini wedding cake. There was a couple sitting there. The man's back was facing them, so we couldn't see him, but the woman looked very cute. Wait, it's not a birthday. It's a proposal. You're right. I'm getting nervous. Then, in the next moment, watched by an audience of guests and waiters holding their breath, the man spoke out loud. I promise to make you happy for the rest of your life, so will you marry me? Dang. As applause erupted around them, my daughter and I looked at each other with our mouths wide open. Was that voice? Yeah. Yes, it sounded exactly like my husband's voice. Bursting in the bustling restaurant and loud celebratory music, we whispered in almost imperceptible voices. Mr. Nelson. Just then, my daughter caught the attention of the teacher who happened to be passing by. Is that a surprise for the people at that table? He replied with a smile. Smile, yet there was a hint of sadness in his voice. Yes, that man lost his previous wife. He's been through a lot. So he wanted to celebrate big time. Is that so? Could it be a case of mistaken identity? I thought to myself, there must be many people with similar voices in the world to distract myself. I poked at my cake with a fork. Let's go. Suddenly, my daughter furrowed her brows and pulled on my hand. It's obvious. Isn't it? We have to check it out. I know you want to think it's impossible, but we can't just not check. Okay, we silently stood up and disguised as curious onlookers, we made our way to the couple being celebrated and photographed by the people around them as I moved to a position where I could see the man of honor's face. I was struck dumb by the scene before me. It was unmistakably my husband. When I looked at my daughter, she nodded firmly, her face was filled with determination, as if to say, let's bust him. I felt strangely empowered by her expression. I can't just stand by and watch this. The next moment, I walked forward, clapping along with the crowd, and said, louder than anyone else there, well, hello, the ex-wife back from the dead. Without missing a beat, my daughter followed up, and her daughter, what you to our dramatic entrance, which seemed like something out of a comedy grand prize routine, made my husband, who had just noticed us, lose all his composure. What's going on? To the pure-hearted woman who certainly didn't know anything yet, I gave the straight answer. I am the supposedly dead ex-wife, who's actually still the current wife of the man you just got engaged to. My roundabout yet succinct explanation made everything click for her, and she fell silent with her mouth still open. The celebratory mood, up to that point, took a complete turn. The people around us began whispering uncomfortably. Explain yourself. The mistress, barely able to speak, teared up and confronted my husband. Then my husband surprisingly made a statement that stirred up the whole place. You see her ignoring the commotion around him. My husband continued with his over-the-top acting. These people were indeed my wife and daughter, but they died in an accident 3 years ago. With a dramatic gesture, my husband covered his eyes and sniffled. Wait, is he seriously trying to spin this like some kind of ghost story? As I was stunned by my husband's ridiculous tactic, my daughter burst out laughing. What are we supposed to be, ghosts now? My husband sobbed loudly as if to drown out my daughter's words. These souls haven't passed on yet. At this, my daughter laughed even harder. Did you hear that? Everyone, let's use the audience then. If you can see us, applaud. Now my daughter called out for applause, like an arena announcer. Hey, what are you saying? But the husband's words were drowned out by a solid round of applause from the crowd. Some even shouted encouragements like, "We see you. Keep it up." Looks like the audience's verdict is unanimous. But do you still want to play it off like we're ghosts? Is that your final answer? I started to enjoy the situation, impressed by my daughter's resilience. Anyway, knowing this joke, what round of life is she on? I thought to myself. The husband finally slumped his shoulders in resignation. Alright, it's an affair. This woman joined our office earlier this year. What? You went after a junior in your own department, one who shares the same birthday as your daughter. But you see, unlike you, who is all about Betty, Olivia actually pays attention to me. Thanks to her, I've got my work motivation back. At my husband's ludicrous remark, the other woman allowed herself a slight smile. It was clear as day that she was no good either, being able to genuinely rejoice at a moment like this. I was utterly astounded by the shallow thinking of my husband, who had seriously considered pretending his real family was dead just because he'd fallen for this mistress. In a way, these two seemed like they deserved each other. I even had the luxury to think that, fine, let's get a divorce then. Are you sure? To the two of them, who had conveniently brightened up their expressions, I added, of course. I'll be seeking alimony from both of you, and don't forget my child support. Then the two of them again conveniently turned their expressions dark. No, forgive me. I had no idea Ellen's wife was still alive until just now. Yay, that's right. Olivia isn't to blame. Plus, there's no evidence anywhere that I've been cheating. It means you're confessing right now. This isn't evidence. It doesn't count without something permanent like photos or videos. At that, my daughter addressed my husband, who for some reason was looking smug. Look over here, please. Hey, stop it. You said cheating doesn't count without photos or videos, right? Don't worry, we've got it all recorded. My daughter was smirking with her smartphone in hand. Give it here. Stop it. My husband reached out to snatch the smartphone from my daughter's hand. It's no use. Look, I'm not the only paparazzi here. As my husband looked around at those words, there were people all around him, pointing their smartphones at him, just like my daughter. It seemed he had finally accepted his defeat as he let out a heavy sigh. This was supposed to be the best anniversary. His muttering was met with my daughter's half-hearted consolation. Tough break, though that's my line. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We will compensate the restaurant for the trouble, I announced. I'm truly sorry, sir. Are our cancer. As we bowed deeply, the teacher and the manager told us not to worry, saying, it's not Betty's fault. Please don't mind it. We will charge that customer for everything. Afterward, my daughter and I settled the bill with bowed heads and left the restaurant. Later on, we officially divorced. We claimed alimony of $20,000 each from my ex-husband and his mistress, and child support until my daughter came of age. Both kept making excuses and delaying the payments. Given their financial situation, I couldn't see a remarriage working out, but that's none of my business anymore. With thinking this, I let my in-laws know about everything. They deeply apologized and promised to make sure the full amount would be paid. I heard then that the story had somehow leaked to their company, and they were both forced to resign. No wonder the alimony was late. Apparently, the in-laws also intended to keep their distance from their foolish son until he paid up. As for us, congratulations on passing. Thank you. My daughter had successfully gotten into her desired university, and here's your fruit tart dessert. We didn't order this. This is on me. You didn't get to eat it last time. Once again, congratulations on your acceptance. Betty, it's so great that you're going to the same college as me. Yes, right before the entrance exams, she'd set her sights higher and managed to get into the same university as that teacher. Thank you, sir. I mean, senior. Blushing at the message on the chocolate plate, My daughter captured the moment with a photo before taking a bite. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you resonated with the content, please leave a positive rating and a comment.